Thank you all for being here. What school you grad from? It's a common question we ask here in Hawaii. We use it to find mutual relationships, connections, and give respect. On the other hand, it can also bring about stereotypes and false impressions. Regardless of who answers, however, it should always bring at least one common feeling, and that's pride. That pride should come from everyone having the opportunity to receive an excellent education. Now, I clearly remember my first year of teaching. It was July 2010, high school math at Nanakuli High School. I'm a proud graduate of Iolani School, but nothing there could have prepared me for my experience that year. The differences were ridiculous. Part of it was little things I'd taken for granted. That year, I'd have to personally buy school supplies for my classroom, build my own curriculum, and I always made sure I had an extra shirt, because I'd usually sweat through the one I had by lunch. But it was also the big things, like finding out that I was the first certified math teacher that some of my 10th and 11th graders had ever had. I was a naive 23-year-old, but it ended up being the best experience of my life. The lack of resources was tough, and disciplining of students, that was really tough. Still, I never imagined I'd build relationships with such humble and grateful students, eager for an opportunity to succeed. One of those students is Mercy Watson. By the time she graduated, she was an all-A student, lettered in 4 varsity sports, that's 4, and had helped lead every student event and assembly in the school. She's also kind, humble, and one of the hardest working people I know. And I've been lucky to see her grow so much over the years, and I couldn't be happier to be sharing the stage with her tonight. Even when I first met her as a high school sophomore, I always believed she had the heart and drive to make her community a better place.
I don't know if you could have really seen that in me when I was just a sophomore. But yeah, I definitely was pretty involved. I worked hard because I didn't want to be the stereotype. Growing up, whenever I was asked what school I went, I would sometimes hesitate because as much as I don't believe in it, I knew the stereotype of Nanakuli. And the truth is, some of the stats might be true. When I started at Nanakuli High, the on-time graduation rate was only 55%. College rates were significantly less. There were fights, drugs, teen pregnancy. Like many others, I came from a single-parent home, heavily influenced by government assistance, food stamps, Section 8 housing, and free lunch. It would be easy for anyone without the right guidance to buy into the stereotypes. Luckily, none of that defined who I was. First, I had a great upbringing. As hard as it was sometimes, my mom and grandma taught me never to make excuses and always do my best. I also had many great teachers. While I didn't have a clear roadmap for how I'd get to college at first, I had some amazing teachers who would help me make that possible. One I remember in particular was my English teacher, Miss Akina, who came to Nanakuli through Teach for America. She had an indescribable energy, always waving her arms and constantly moving around the room, and never wasting a minute of class. When I was in high school, I was like, oh my gosh, why does she have so much energy? This is irritating. But now I realize she was giving her 110% every single day to help me have the literacy skills I would later need in college. Then there was Mr. Shimizu. He was my teacher, basketball coach, and became a mentor that I looked up to. He had high expectations for us and expected the best always. I actually remember Mr. Shimizu on his first day. I helped him clean his class through a student government initiative to help new teachers. I remember my friend and I asking every question in the book. What school you grad? Where are you from? What college you went to? You get kids. You're married. You know, typical things young local high school kids would ask anyone. I remember trying to explain to him that what he was going to encounter in his first year might be rough. Still, I knew he'd be okay. As I could tell, he had the advantage that he could connect with kids. 9 years later, and I can't believe I'll be doing the same thing. There were many other TFA teachers who had helped me and our school and community grow over the years. They were all enthusiastic about their work and are a part of a positive change that is happening in my community.
In Puna, on the Big Island of Hawaii, we didn't have Teach for America back in 2012. I attended Cal High School, which like Nanakuli, had low graduation rates and all the realities of a community in poverty. Like Mercy, I always tried to be a leader, but sometimes life has its challenges. During spring break, my junior year, I was cruising with friends in the parking lot after track practice. One of my friends had recently bought a used car, and we found an airsoft gun under the seat. As most boys would, we decided to play with it. Because of the zero tolerance gun policy, which I swear I didn't know about at the time, we were expelled. During that school year, I went to an alternative learning program, isolated from my peers, with long-term substitutes, and teaching was being given packets of worksheets. Thankfully, I had people in my community who advocated for me and helped me get back to graduate on time. I had my mother, a single parent balancing 2 teaching jobs, who instilled in me the value of hard work and always told me that whatever I start, I must finish. I had a mentor, Mr. Pacheco, who played Division I football and helped me work towards going to college and playing Division I football also.
By the time my 2-year core commitment concluded in 2012, I had fallen in love with the Nanakuli community. I ended up staying and teaching for 5 years, fulfilled by seeing students like Mercy learn, grow, and realize their own potential. I'd eventually continue my education in law school, but couldn't help but want to stay connected to the community. I ended up continuing coaching football for 3 more years during law school, rushing out of my lectures to beat the traffic out to the west side, sometimes a little early. I live in town, so it's an hour out, hour back. The drives were brutal, and my car is taking a beating. Still, I don't regret it one bit. Although I'm now practicing law and can't physically be there, I'm looking for other opportunities to help. And I know I'll always support the community that embraced me and welcomed me in. I've always thought of Teach for America as an avenue for change. And what comforts me are the continued successes of core members who have and will continue to come after me. More so, it was always my hope that students, like Mercy, would eventually join us as colleagues, leading in their communities and serving as role models for future generations of students to come.
Mr. Shimizu encouraged me to join TFA back in high school, and we discussed it many times over the years. But it was never something I dreamed of doing. Until recently, I was focused on playing volleyball in college and pursuing my lifelong goal of being in the medical field. Not everyone makes it to college, especially in my community, much less get to play collegiately and graduate. So it was my main goal through those years, compete in the classroom and on the court. After college, I ended up coaching volleyball for my alma mater, Nanakuli. I loved it and invested a lot of my time teaching my kids a sport that I fell in love with. I always held my kids accountable for their academics, as being a student athlete is essential for being successful on and off the court. I realized I love working with kids, and I began to see that I could be a role model to others in my community like Mr. Shimizu was to me. Teaching was in the back of my mind. I got certified to be a substitute teacher at Nanakuli and realized that helping kids in the classroom was a whole different ballgame. This was it. This is what I wanted to do. It felt like a calling. Teach for America was a way to become that role model through teaching. I decided to apply. Mr. Shimizu wrote my letter of recommendation, and I can't believe it, but here I am. In my own classroom with AC, yes. Yes, if you know Nanakuli, this is a huge win. My own desk, soon a mini fridge, hopefully, and responsible for over 60 amazing students, fully capable of being the change. Week 3 of my first year as a math teacher back home at Nanakuli High, just like Mr. Shimizu.
The dream of playing Division I football stuck with me, and I'm proud to be the first Division I athlete from KL. But getting there wasn't easy. While I had the athletic skill, I wasn't prepared academically. I had to appeal to get into UH because my SATs weren't high enough. And once I was at UH, I had to start as a walk-on to the football team. I was an underdog. But coming from Puna and witnessing my mom sacrifice everything to provide for me prepared me to overcome these challenges. At the end of my football career at UH, I was a team captain with a full-ride scholarship, and I helped UH to our first Hawai'i Bowl win in 10 years. Football gave me purpose. As I considered whether or not to continue to pursue professional football, my mom asked me, "Why do you play?" I told her I wanted to be an inspiration to kids from Puna to chase their dreams. My mom then told me that in order to make the impact I really wanted, I needed to go home to my community and be the change I wanted to see. And so, a year ago, I returned home to KL, and the same principal that expelled me my junior year hired me to teach. I wanted to teach kids like me and eagerly accepted a teaching line in an alternative learning program. As it turns out, teaching 6 different subjects to students who have different needs and are academically at different levels is kind of like running full speed into a brick wall. And as if teaching wasn't challenging enough, the struggles of our community were still very prevalent. On the first day of school, I asked my students what they wanted to be, expecting them to say things like a doctor or the NFL. Their actual reaction, nothing. When you live in poverty, it is so difficult to see more than what is right in front of you. I wanted to help students chase their dream, but I was reminded that first, our kids need to learn how to dream. Seeing students like Masen, driven by their dreams, is what keeps me going.
I have a dream. My name is Mason and I'm a sophomore at Hawai'i High School. I come from a large family. I'm the 4th youngest out of 10, 6 brothers and 4 sisters. I love football and I'm currently a quarterback and receiver for my football team. It took me a while to believe in myself. I never did like school. Before I would do crazy and stupid things so people could laugh and like me. I had a 1-point-something GPA coming into high school. I was put in Mr. Packer's ALC class. Mr. Packer has been an inspiration ever since I saw his college football picture on the wall of my 6th grade class that his mom taught. While he inspired me before I met him, the real impact was having him as a teacher. Hearing how similar Mr. Packer's life is and how he made his way to college showed me how I could do the same for myself. Because of Mr. Packer, in 1 year, I doubled my GPA and finished my freshman year with a 3.4. In addition to pushing us to learn and do well in school, if you need extra guidance, Mr. Packer is always there to help you. When you have a test and you're struggling, he takes the time to sit with you, break the material in ways you can better understand what is going on so that you understand it. He's always checking on us, not just in school, but with our daily lives. Don't get me wrong, this guy right here, he ain't all nice. He can be hard on us, but it's because he wants to see every kid succeed. That's what I love about this guy. He's constantly pushing us to our limits because he knows what each of us are capable of. I'm excited to have Mr. Packer again this year, along with more TFA teachers who will help us to continue to grow.
Thank you, Mr. Shimizu, for being an inspiration to me and for seeing something in me that I couldn't. I know these next 2 years will be challenging. Thanks, Mr. Shimizu and Mr. Packer, for those reminders tonight. But I am ready, or as ready as I can be. Ask me now what school I grad.
So what, nurse? What school you in grad?
Kulia Ikanu'u, our motto. We seek the highest. I am a proud grad of Nanakuli High. Today, I teach for America because I want to be the positive change in my community. I want to be a part of the changing the stereotypes and statistics for kids in Nanakuli, like those leaders before me. I want to continue building and improving my community so everyone will say they graduated from Nanakuli with pride. I don't have to do this, guys, but here it goes. Black and gold, proudly wave our colors high and true. Nanakuli, Nanakuli, faith and hope are listening to you.
I am from Puna and I have a purpose. I teach for America because I want to create positive change for kids in my hometown. My dream is to one day create a sports training facility in Keawe to create a domino effect of success, starting with athletics to improve academics, and academics as an avenue to change student and family lives for generations to come.
I am only a sophomore, but I have big plans for my future. I'll be the first in my family to go to college. I'll go to the University of Hawaii in Manoa and play Division I football. And then I will come back to Keawe like my mentor, Mr. Packer, and be a TFA teacher. I want to teach for America because I hope to make a positive difference in my community. Maybe I'll help Mr. Packer with his sports facility. Or who knows, I may be the next principal of Keawe. But I have some time to figure that out. But I need your help. Please continue to support Teach for America so that I can have great teachers and mentors at Keawe High. Please support so that I can come back to my home community to Teach for America in 2026. I want to be a TFA teacher because I know they make a difference. They have certainly made a difference for me. Thank you.